Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 3 decades in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. For years, the beauty industry has conditioned us to believe that better skin requires more steps, more actives, more products, more promises. But what if many of our skin concerns aren't the result of doing too little, but of doing too much? Today, consumers are increasingly questioning complicated routines, aggressive treatments, and the endless pursuit of anti aging. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm not fond of the beauty industry manufactured concept of anti aging. It's mainly marketing spin. Thankfully, in its place, a growing movement is embracing skin barrier health, nourishment, and simplicity. My guest today is Becca Zook, founder of Happi Rituals, a skincare brand built around the idea that skin doesn't need to be constantly corrected, it needs to be supported. After becoming frustrated with expensive products and increasingly complicated routines that promised more than they delivered, Becca began experimenting with formulations centered around one of skincare's most unexpected ingredients of the past few years: grass-fed beef tallow. What started as a personal pursuit evolved into Happi Rituals, a brand focused on supporting the skin barrier through simpler, more intentional approach to skincare. In this conversation, I want to explore whether we've made skincare unnecessarily complicated, why barrier health has become one of beauty's biggest conversations, what makes tallow such a polarizing ingredient, and whether doing less might actually be the key to healthier skin. So let's get to it. Let's welcome Becca to the pod. Becca, hi.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation with you today.
Me too. And I have to say, I'm just going to kick it off. You had sent me products, and I have never, in all of my skincare journey of 30 years, seen a texture like this. This whipped texture,
Wonderful.
it's like, I guess it's like whipped margarine. That's the best. That's the best that I can equate it to, but it feels so amazing on your skin. So we're gonna
I'm
get
happy
into
to hear
that.
that. Happy
Yeah,
to hear
yeah.
that you loved it.
I thought you would. I never, honest to God, I never know what to expect when I open up a new product. Right? Like I have
Yeah,
no idea if it's
for
gonna
sure.
be cool, if I'm gonna like it, if I'm gonna hate it, if my skin is gonna react, if my skin is gonna suck it all up, and it did in this instance. So Becca, some of like I want to start with a bit of your origin story. Some of the most interesting brands aren't born with industry expertise; they're born from frustration. Before founding Happi Rituals, what was your professional background? And what was happening in your own skincare journey that ultimately led you to experimenting with your own formulations?
So my background is in marketing, sales and marketing really. I
Mm,
started out in photography years ago and have just really enjoyed a long marketing career, both as an entrepreneur as well as in the corporate world. And so, both experiences have nuances of their own, of course, and so forth. But most recently, I was traveling a bit for my corporate role and experiencing a couple of different challenges with skincare, right? So I'm traveling. I'm also entering my mid 40s where I feel like I'm waking up with a new set of wrinkles every single day and a bit of that panic of like, oh my gosh, how do we stop this? What do we do? How do we take care of our skin? And there's so many products out there just screaming for our attention and like, we'll help you, we'll help you. And so, of
mm,
course, I've invested in all of those, a plethora of products and systems and routines, hoping to, age well
yeah.
with my skincare. And honestly, I just felt like everything fell short, over promising, under delivering. And what I realized at the end of the day was like, I really needed something to just nourish my skin.
Mm,
I'm okay with wrinkles. I had gotten to that place where I'm like, I'm actually fine with some wrinkles and, lines on my face, but I need my face to be like hydrated, to feel supple and soft, our skin and not just our face, all over our body. And as we know, as women, we get a little bit older, our estrogen declines and our skin becomes drier. And I really was like also tired of spending the money on all the skincare also tired of, back to the whole travel thing, having like this whole lineup of products that you have to try to travel with because, oh my God, heaven forbid if you miss a day or two.
Right. They don't want you missing a
And it
day
just
or
felt
two.
complicated and
Yeah.
excessive and without really getting the results that I was looking for. And at the time, tallow kind of came to my attention. Obviously, it was a bit of a trend for a few years,
Mm,
and it made sense to me. I'm a bit of a see, I like to take the natural route whenever possible and as much as
mhm.
possible. And so as I looked into this, it made sense and I decided to give it a try. Now, I'm also very creative, so I loved the like formulation process and just experimenting. It was just a little fun project. And in that process of experimenting and formulating, I came up with a formula that I ended up loving and have been using for 3 years now,
Mhm.
and have had friends and family that I was gifting it to and that were using it, and they were liking it as well. And that's how Happy Rituals was born,
Is
essentially.
that formula that you loved and that people loved the same formula that I love?
It is. Yes.
That's so crazy.
It's exactly
Like,
what I sent you.
yeah, oh my god. We're gonna talk about the formulas. We're gonna talk about the formulas, but I just have to demo this. Like, it is so light, and I think you call it whipped on the packaging, right?
Mousse. I call it
That's what it
mousse.
is.
Yeah,
It's a
but it,
mousse.
it it insinuates that whipped feel, and I
It
talk about it
does.
being whipped. Yeah,
Like,
in our material.
I hope people can see how soft this is. It's like pillowy, like marshmallow, but not sticky.
Mm.
Oh my god, it's amazing. And I have to say, I don't like want to go off the rails on this conversation because I have a structure, but honestly, I don't even care about my structure. I have something I call the Angela Callia rule. Do you know who Angela Callia
I
is?
don't. No, I don't.
She's this amazing like esthetician and a brand founder. I don't think she would push back if I characterized her as a celebrity esthetician. She's
Hmm.
based in LA. Celebrities are her clients. Like, if you're a celebrity, you want Angela Callia giving you a facial. And
Okay.
she tells this, I had her on my podcast, and she tells this story about the founding of her brand. She didn't have a brand. I think she founded her brand 6 years ago or so. And she had the fortunate opportunity of giving Barbara Streisand a facial for her birthday.
Wow,
Like, her
that's
publicist,
exciting.
like Barbara Streisand's publicist or assistant, somebody knew Angela, or maybe Angela was, their facialist, and they were like, "Would you be interested in giving Barbara a facial for her birthday?" And she was like, "What? Of course I would." So she goes to Barbara Streisand's house, and she gives her this facial, and Barbara Streisand's like, "You should have your own skincare brand. Why don't you have your own skincare brand?" And so we talked a lot about her formulas, and I was ballsy enough to ask Angela Callia what her own skincare routine looked like. Like, I want to know. Like,
Yeah.
you're like this, like the holy grail esthetician. Like, what do you do? I want your secret. And through the conversation, I realized that she alluded to the fact that she doesn't wash her face in the morning. And I was like, oh God, really? Like,
Mhm.
I was still washing my face. And she's like, why? Like, you shouldn't have to wash your face in the morning. If you have to wash off a product that you applied 8 hours ago, that product doesn't have affinity with your skin and it's not being absorbed. Like, you shouldn't be using a product that doesn't absorb in 8 hours.
Right, right.
And I will tell you that your moisturizer passed the Angelcalia test.
I'm so happy to hear
And
that.
I was like, is this really gonna absorb? Like, it feels so rich. And I'm in LA now, and it's warmer at night. Like, I can imagine it would absorb really quickly in New York in winter. And I woke up in the morning, splashed warm water on my face, as I do now. I rinse my face with warm water like Angela does, and there was nothing there. And that to me, like, that's rule number one for determining whether you've got a really good moisturizer. And I just wonder, like, what was the formulation process like for you? Like, you're formulating with beef tallow. That's new, right? Like, I've never formulated with beef tallow, and I think, admittedly, I told you this in our discovery call, I've never even used a product with beef tallow in it. Like, was it easy to formulate with?
I mean, it just takes a lot of experimenting. And
Hmm.
what a lot of I had tried other tallow products, in my formulation, and, trying to understand what and how what they're creating, right? The
Yeah.
texture, the feel, the efficacy, and all of that. And what I found was that so many tallow skincare products are mostly tallow, and tallow is very rich, strong. A lot of companies are cutting the tallow with a bit of coconut oil, a bit of olive oil, some essential oils, then to try to, like, kind of mask the smell because it has kind of a distinct scent. And I didn't like how heavy it felt for my face, and I didn't feel like it applied in a smooth, like, silky manner that I would expect from, like, a cream or a lotion, like a body lotion. And so I really wanted something that was a bit more of what I felt was like a more of a cosmetic approach to skincare with tallow as a base ingredient.
Yeah.
And so, really, I mean, it just took a lot of experimenting. I've even experimented with, like, beeswax and honey, but then I felt like that left me feeling sticky, and I didn't like that feel. It was too
Hmm.
heavy. So what I found was that just in using a really good quality, of course, USDA organic grass-fed beef tallow as a base, and only my formula is only about 2/3 tallow. And then I added a plethora of other botanicals that I really felt created a robust nutrient panel that helps with that lightness, that fluffiness that you feel, that absorption, and really gives a product that doesn't leave behind that greasy or sticky feel. So,
Yeah, interestingly, while you were talking, I'm realizing that you kind of created a luxury moisturizer, which is what you were used to, right? You were talking about spending all this
hey,
money on really high-end skincare, and that's kind of
mhm.
what you've created.
Right, and there are a lot of tallow products out there. Honestly, I'm not, I just feel like my formulation and process is different enough that like I said, I wanted to come from more of a cosmetic approach than from, like, a farm to face approach, if you will. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have cows in my back pasture that I'm rendering tallow from. That's not
Right,
my jam.
right.
Good. I think there's definitely a time and a place for that. That's really cool if you can do that. But again, that wasn't where this all came from. It was more about creating a cosmetic, a product that felt, like you said, luxurious, still felt like a cosmetic that could really replace the all of the expensive creams and whatever. For my personally, I mean, like I said, it started out for myself. And then back to the whole travel situation, like I
Hmm.
mentioned,
Yeah.
traveling with, like, this whole 5-step skincare routine.
Complicated
Like, I'm a
routine. Yeah.
carry-on person, like, I don't wanna check luggage,
Ditto.
so
Ditto.
that
Yeah.
gets difficult. And so, as I was, like, looking at all of the different pieces of this skincare routine, I'm like, "Why can't we put this all in one bottle?"
Right.
And so, because you get your Bakuchi oil for your face oil, then you get your castor oil or your this or your that, something with shea butter, whatever. And so my formulation also became about creating something that was very simple and easy to travel with, but also just an easy routine. Like, it doesn't need to be, if you love, there are some people, creators out there who love, like,
Yeah.
spending 3 hours every day on their skincare. Like,
Yeah.
that's not me.
Yeah.
I need something efficient, quick, and effective. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
we
how
don't
that, yeah.
need, like, and I think you're touching on something here, the concept of an overcomplicated skincare routine for for the sake of complication.
Hmm.
Like, I kind of get myself into that. Like, I have to check myself. Like, even this morning I was thinking, as I was doing my skincare routine, I used my salicylic acid toner, and then I turned around and opened up the medicine cabinet, and I reached for my niacinamide serum, right? And And I thought, what else do I need? Vitamin C. And do I even need moisturizer today? Because it's going to be 75. And, I was like, just use a heavier sunscreen,
Mhm.
a moisturizer with sunscreen in it. And that was it. You know, as much as I wanted to use more products, I think I kind of fall into that at night where I'm like into using, peptide serums,
Mhm.
and I'll use a couple of peptide serums and maybe a peptide moisturizer with a retinol treatment.
Mhm.
Not anything too strong. I'm not like overly aggressive. Like, but I think this is a fascinating conversation to have. We've spent decades, marketers, and you're a marketer. I don't know if you're a marketer in beauty, but I've been marketing beauty for a long time. And we spent decades convincing consumers
Mhm.
that better skin means more products, more
Mhm.
steps, more intervention.
Mhm.
Do you think we're finally seeing a backlash against overcomplicated skincare routines?
I don't know if I'd call it a backlash or more
Hmm.
just transparency and like honesty around it,
Yeah.
like and just realizing like maybe that's not actually accurate
Right.
and maybe it's actually harming our skin. When you think of putting layers of actives onto your skin every morning, every night, you get that compound effect of the damage it can do to your skin and just being too much.
Yeah.
And also, the other thing that's really great about tallow and why I chose it as the base sort of carrier
Hmm.
for all of the other botanicals is that it's so readily bioavailable to our skin. So it's not
Right.
going to sit on the top of your skin and sit
Which
there,
is
like you
why it's
say,
gone
not
in the morning.
absorb.
Yeah.
Exactly, not
Yeah.
absorb in 8 hours or by the time you wake up. And so it it really does absorb. Our skin knows what to do. It recognizes it
Hmm.
as bioavailable and then absorbs and utilizes the nutrients that are in the products. So
Yeah, that's such a
that
good
that was
point.
the thought behind or the concept behind using tallow as a base and again like sort of that carrier for the shea butter, the aloe vera, the sweet almond oil,
Mm,
apricot kernel oil, and then all the other plethora of ingredients in all of the different formulas.
yeah. And then I guess, when we talked, I told you that I had no experience whatsoever with beef tallow. And, I feel like it was super trendy maybe 2 years ago. I never tried it. Like, I'm not really the type to hop on trends very often.
Mhm.
Like, I have no interest in anything formulated with PDRN. I think it's
Mhm.
complete nonsense. But I guess for me, it's really about, is it enduring? And when it's enduring, then, I let everybody else be the guinea pig, I guess.
Right, right. If it
Right?
sticks, then
If
you'll
it
look
sticks,
into
then
it.
I'm not like, I did try snail mucin once. Thank God that's over.
That was a flash in the pan, wasn't it?
It really was. It really was. I hated it. It felt like slime, of course. That's
Yeah.
the whole point.
Mhm.
But when you look at those replenishing plant oils, those lipid rich plant oils, how did you determine what your you know plant oil stack or replenishing oil stack? Obviously beef tallow isn't a plant oil. How did you
Mhm.
determine what that was? Is that you worked with a chemist to figure that out, to balance out the tallow with other
Honestly, no, it was just my own research,
in your
and
own kitchen?
yes, it was.
Wow, amazing.
And, really just doing a lot of research on various oils and then trying to create a balanced formula, that made sense for the different formulas that I wanted to create. So, like, I had the body formula. Right now, I just have one body formula, but that's sort
Mhm.
of just one that's good for everyone, for all skin types, yes.
Yeah.
Mm, and then I do have 2 different face formulas. Well, actually, I have 3 if you include the men's.
Right. Yep.
Did I send you a men's?
You did. Yeah.
I did. Okay,
Yep.
good. So I've got the men's formula that's formulated for men with or without beards, but
Yeah.
it does have a Basinian oil in it that is really good for beard conditioning, smoothing and shining and so forth. And then the other 2 face mousses, there's one, my Soothe and Heal is formulated for more oily to balanced skin, maybe younger skin or skin that is struggling with more inflammation, like acne and so forth.
Hmm.
And then the Renew and Glow is formulated more for mature skin. So choosing oils then according to those, what's the oils and the botanicals that support those purposes.
Is there more tallow? What's the difference between the body product? Is there more tallow in the body product? Because it is a lot richer.
There's not. You know what? What makes that richness is the castor oil. Castor oil is
Got it.
very thick, but it's so good for your skin and your skin
So
barrier.
good. Yeah.
So good. And
I've been using it
so,
on my arms. Yeah.
yeah. So that is what makes the richness in the body mousse for sure.
Right. And it has some sort of scent in it, right? Unlike the
Yes,
fake.
the body mousse
Yeah.
does. I add a little vanilla essential oil in that one for that scent. It smells
That's
like
what it is.
frosting. It's like just missing the
Yes.
cupcake.
Yeah. It actually has it actually have you tried to frost a cupcake with it?
No, I don't recommend it. You probably need to add a little sugar.
Right. Add some sugar.
Well, I will. Let's get back to that. I'll
Yeah.
say on my other face mousse formulas, there's no additional fragrance of any kind
Yeah.
added.
Yeah.
And then really because I'm only using about 2/3 tallow in my formulations, the all of the other botanicals take care of any kind of tallow scent that people might not enjoy.
Fascinating,
So,
right? How they naturally cancel each other out or cancel that
yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to talk about your anti-aging shift. So, have you completely shifted away from anti-aging products? Do you like
You mean
completely
personally?
eschew? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, are you asking me about my skincare or anything?
Like you made a mental shift
I
to,
did.
move away from the marketing nonsense. Like I don't even know if we talked about this. I talked about it in the intro, but like I think the whole anti-aging category is nonsense. It was made up in some big beauty companies marketing, marketing lab, marketing routine, marketing I'm sorry, their marketing boardroom or whatever,
Mhm.
conference room. I'm sure it was probably at Estee Lauder. I'm like thinking about who were those players, that really, really pushed for that. And for the most part, anti-aging products are nonsense. And if I think about, and I've talked a lot about this, the most important anti-aging product that you can ever use on your skin is a sunscreen. I mean, for
Mhm.
crying out loud, 90% of the visible changes to the skin, including signs of aging, are caused by UV damage.
Mhm.
Like, but no skincare brand would ever admit that because no one's going to pay $300, $200 for, a sunscreen.
Mhm.
And so like I just wonder like what your take is on it. Like I know how it was the impetus behind the brand, but like what's your mindset around that now?
Honestly, just embracing it. I think that in a world that has really shifted to the filtered look and plastic, cosmetology and
Mm,
surgery and whatever to kind of get whatever
fillers,
face
yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I feel like it's sort of like everybody is looking the same. It really takes away from the individuality of ourselves, the experiences of our lives that come out on our face. And as I came into, like I said, my mid 40s and realize and looking like feeling like I got a new set of wrinkles every single day. And as I processed, why did this feel like something to fix, right? Why couldn't I just let it be? Can we just age in peace?
Right, yeah.
And as I noticed, women older than myself or people older than myself, and really the people I'm attracted to are just the happiest, most real, genuine people who are themselves. And they're not so much worried about all of the outer appearances, but are living lives that are like full and fulfilled and joyful and full of many different experiences rather than spending all this time and energy and money trying to figure out how to stay 40. And also like when you're 50. But here's the catch, like when you're 40 you're trying to be fit it, trying to still look like you were in your 30s, and then you get to 50 and you're trying to look like you were in your 40s. Why can we not just be who we are in the moment? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I really think moving away from, like, I don't like how I came to a place where I didn't like how it sounded, like anti-aging against aging. It's actually
Mhm.
a privilege to age. Every single day that we have is a privilege, something, we're lucky to have 80 years of life or, however many it is. And I just think that it kind of messes with our fulfillment and what we get out of life when we feel like we're constantly having to fix our aging bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a train, like life is
Yeah.
a slow moving train and it's not going to stop until you're dead,
hmm At the
like,
same time, I wanted to take care. It wasn't just about like, well, I'm just going to age and let things happen the way they happen. Like, I want to age well.
right.
And so that
Longevity.
was
Longevity
also
is all about that.
right.
Yeah.
And health, your health, like
Yeah.
being able to be active and, whatever it is as you age is important. And so shifting from being trying to work against it so hard to how can I just nurture and care for myself as I am aging, as my body does need more support the older I get.
Yeah. What are your like wellness rituals look like? Do you exercise? Do you go
I do.
outdoors? You get sunlight? Like, do
Yes.
you meditate?
D all of the above. I'm kind of a wellness junkie.
Really? I'm not
I
surprised by
am.
that. Yeah.
So, and here's the thing, like our skin, like you got to drink water, you got to hydrate. It's in about what you eat, right? Getting
Yeah.
your protein in, the fiber, getting out and lifting, strength training, I think is really important for us as we come into middle age and knowing that the muscle mass is what's going to keep us healthy and like you said, have that longevity. I do walk almost every day.
Mm,
And I have shifted a bit from, I had a step goal for last year. I hit a little over 4 million steps last year.
4 million?
Yes, it was a lot. And that included a couple of months of being off, with an illness and some time off. But that was fun. It was a fun challenge, super good. It ended up, I started out walking a lot just for health, but it ended up
Hmm.
really being more about mental health. So I still love to walk a lot. But I did trade some time because that takes a lot of time. So I
Yeah.
did trade it. I love to play pickleball. So
Cool.
pickleball is a way that I get steps in as well. And then let's see, I really work on my sleep health. I think that's
Mm,
super important.
me too.
I went so many years being so sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And I mean, the nights I don't get sleep, I can always see it in my face the next morning. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh."
Yeah.
So drinking water, eating healthy. My alcohol intake is very little, slim to none these days.
Hmm.
Um,
What about
and
supplements?
supplements, yes, I can be a bit of a supplement junkie, but I also try to really have balance in that too, because I think sometimes our bodies are so amazing, and if we just
Yeah.
stay out of the way of them, they can do what they're meant
So
to do,
true.
right? Like
Yes.
from skin, I mean, that applies to skincare, to supplements, to whatever.
Yeah.
And I think let's just talk about marketing because you have a marketing background, I have a marketing background. We know the purpose of marketing and how to market, right?
Right.
And
It's to
just think
sell
about it. If,
things.
yes, and
Yeah.
if these companies can convince people that something's wrong and here's a solution. I mean, that's the key to marketing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we're like convinced that there are things wrong that with us that really aren't, you know.
Yeah.
Our bodies would do just fine on their own. But I do. I take a magnesium at night to sleep well.
Hmm.
I do love a prebiotic in the morning. Let's see. I don't know if you want to go this deep, but
Go for it.
I am doing HRT, which has been super helpful
Okay.
as a woman in midlife.
Yeah.
And that is in itself is a huge experiment and exploration of because it's everybody's body is so different. There's not like a magic formula for what each person needs. So that's been
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I have started exploring the world of peptides.
Okay. Like
So
injecting peptides?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And again, like I said, these things just interest me.
Yeah.
Goal is always about longevity and health. I don't necessarily want to live a long, long life unless it can be healthy. So I'm always interested in optimizing my health. But I say that carefully because I feel like those terms are thrown around so much. And like we just talked
Agreed.
about, we can over optimize. I don't know, that kind of doesn't really make sense, but we can put too much effort into that, where if we just let our bodies do what they're meant to do and made to do, it'll do it. So I try not to get too crazy with
Yeah,
it.
I think that whole peptide conversation really fascinates me. It's not for me because I have no interest whatsoever in injecting myself with a hypodermic needle.
Mhm.
I can do an auto injector, and I do. I'm a migraineur, and I have a monthly migraine shot that comes in an auto injector pen.
Mhm.
Where I just press that against my thigh and press the button.
Mhm.
I do have another migraine medication that does require me to use a needle, but I'm not going to do that every day voluntarily. Like I
Mhm.
do it because I have a migraine that needs to be
Mhm.
stopped.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that. The thing that I think is so interesting is, there's things that that people are injecting that they don't even know that they're deficient in. The conversation
Yes.
around
Mhm.
NAD. Like, I know that vast majority, 99.999% of people who are injecting themselves with NAD plus don't have any idea that they're deficient in NAD because
Mhm.
there's no testing for it.
Right.
And I know that because I hosted a gentleman who is the CEO of the first consumer available test for NAD.
Okay.
And he's just launched in the United States. And no doctor is going to test your NAD for you
Mhm.
if you ask him.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
I know, I
Right.
sometimes have to beg them to test my vitamin D.
Right.
And I mean, I just think that's fascinating. And then I had another doctor who specializes. She's an integrative medical doctor who specializes in longevity, and she actually talked about this. If I remember correctly, the way she framed it is, you can you can certainly inject yourself with NAD, but your body, to your point earlier, your body is doing that on its own.
Mhm.
Your body is creating NAD on its own. Your cells are creating NAD. And if you're injecting NAD, your body's going to stop producing the NAD
Its
it needs
own,
because
right.
you're giving it the NAD.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the question was, what happens when you're not going to be doing that for the rest of your life?
Mhm.
What happens when you stop
When
doing
you
it?
stop, yep. Yeah,
Right?
I know that's always my concern with honestly anything, even supplements,
Yes. Yeah.
If I'm supplementing with vitamin B or whatever, is my body gonna like pull back because
Yeah.
or and so I think it's really important to look at it as what things can support my body. I think there are things that we can maybe have an idea we're deficient in without a blood test because of symptoms or so or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, to just hop on the train because everybody's riding it,
Right.
that's not
Right.
really
Yeah.
it has to make sense. It has to be
Well, that's how anti-aging kicked off, right?
exactly,
Everybody
right.
hopped on that train for decades. Then,
Mhm.
more people are
And
on
here we
that
are.
train. Yeah, totally. I
Huge
love
moneymaker.
I love what you're doing. I love the brand. I love the products. Like, I I'm gonna Rebecca, I'm gonna drop links to the products in the show notes. I always say
Thank
that, but
you.
I like to remind guests that there'll be links in the show notes. Before we wrap up, I want to just do a quick lightning round. You can keep the questions as brief as you want or go as long as you want. I promise you, none of the questions are as profound as the first one. And the first one is something you believed early in your career that you no longer believe.
So I thought about this one because you gave me the heads up.
Hmm.
I thought about it long and hard, and I'm like, do I go with a easy, shallow answer, or do I just like kind of get into it? And I actually am excited to share something I've
Yeah, go
never
for
shared
it.
publicly because
Wow.
it has felt like throughout my career there have been times where it's felt like such a big disadvantage, but I feel like I've gotten to the place where I've turned it into my greatest asset, and so I would love to share that.
Hmm.
And that is in the beginning of my journey. I started out as an entrepreneur and then I went into the corporate world. And I think I started out as an entrepreneur because I felt like the fact that I don't have a college education or a degree is holding me back. I'm lacking the credentials. and so forth. And so I'm scrappy. I've got a lot of grit, a lot of determination. And so I started out as an entrepreneur and was very successful in that. And that really ended up building the experience and everything I needed to have success in a corporate role. And honestly, I think it actually has made me stronger because I felt like it was such a disadvantage. I tried to
Mm.
probably overcompensate at
Mm-hmm.
times.
Yeah.
And that made me just dig in and learn and grow and be relentlessly curious about whatever had come my way that I needed to learn about, right? And so I think, like I said, I think that grit and determination has actually made me much stronger in my career. Also, out of that, I've built this very wide variety of skills and just learning from hands on experience, making a lot of mistakes, learning from them, growing from them, and never being willing to never stop learning. Even in this full circle moment now of having my own business again, and launching the skincare line, I feel like every day I learn something new, or I feel overwhelmed by how much I still have to learn. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Okay, I may belie what I told you about nothing being as profound going forward, but I do want to know, like, if you hadn't founded Happy Rituals, what you think you'd be doing instead as an entrepreneur.
at least, oh, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah, I don't want to keep you in the corporate world. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
that's scary. That, I don't want to trigger PTSD because I know that happens with me. Every time I hear someone speaking French, I start to shudder from my
Yeah,
L'Oreal days.
yeah. I would potentially be in some kind of a coaching role. I really love
Hmm.
coaching. I'm super passionate about parenting. I have 4 daughters that I've raised
Wow.
pretty much as a solo parent, single mom. And so I love the sisterhood. I love raising girls. That don't mistake that for thinking it was always easy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe one day if Happy Rituals kind of ends up running its own self, I'll take a look at doing some parenting coaching
Yeah. What's your favorite place to unplug?
in the mountains,
Wow.
in the trees, on the trail.
Mm,
I just love being out in the forest. It gives me life. It's like the world stops, time stops, and I can catch a breath.
that's awesome. Something you're irrationally particular about.
Gosh, my kids
Don't
would
say there's
say
so many.
my kids would say I'm a little irrationally particular about keeping the house clean. So
Crumbs make you crazy.
they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I had this conversation with someone the other day. I don't even remember where I was, but we were forbidden from leaving crumbs. Like
I've tried to
I have a
loosen up.
brother. I have a brother, and we're the two only children. So my mother was the only woman in the house. Oh my God. If we left a crumb somewhere, like
Yeah.
we heard about it for hours. And I'll never forget this one time there was an old woman, an older woman. I don't want to malign her, but she was
Mhm.
like in her late 80s,
Mhm.
who lived next door, and she was our babysitter. When
Okay.
when I was like 11, we still had a babysitter.
Mhm.
And I didn't grow up in the city. I grew up in suburbia. Like, like it wasn't like was any danger. But anyway, so I was probably 11. My brother was 9. And Lillian had watched us when my parents went to the movies. And Lillian had trouble breathing. I don't know why. But, and, we weren't allowed to sit in the living room ever. Like, our living room couch was covered in plastic. Like, my mother was that neurotic. And Lillian could, of course, sit in the living room on the plastic. And I remember her sitting in the living room with a bag of Lay's potato chips. And we were like, to this day, I love a bag of Lay's potato chips. And she was talking, and as she was eating these potato chips, she was spitting crumbs onto
Oh dear.
my mother's thick red shag carpeting. And my parents come home from the movies, and Lillian leaves, and it wasn't very long after that my mother saw crumbs on her living room floor. and started screaming. And I was like, Lillian did it. It was Lillian. She was eating potato chips. She's like, don't you dare blame that wonderful woman. And I'm like, no, really. Lillian did it. And I'm still traumatized by crumbs. You will find not nary a crumb in my house anywhere. And I had a friend over the other day, and I made quesadillas, and before, while I was cooking them, she's sitting at the kitchen counter, and I got tortilla chips and salsa, and I kept thinking every time she ate one of those chips, there was gotta be crumbs somewhere. Never let that go. Like, how neurotic was I?
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
is so crazy. I just needed to focus on making the quesadilla, not on her
Not on
getting.
the crumbs flying everywhere.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I've tried to become more
Yes.
rational about it.
Yes, I
And there
need
is
to.
something that like 4 kids will make you
Right.
realize what's important and what's not, but
Totally. Let's
still there's
segue
a
then.
little left.
What is your favorite comfort food?
Ooh, I love a good maybe this is where the body mousse vanilla came
Mm.
from.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good cupcake with champagne. I don't know, there's something
Oh
about the
my
fizz of the
God.
champagne and the, like, soft crumb of the cupcake that, like,
That's
I love. I love
amazing.
a good a good cupcake with good champagne.
That's hilarious. I never even considered. I'm sure I've never had those two things together. That's so funny.
Trust me.
Yeah, okay. We'll take your advice on that. I'll get back to
Yeah.
you. Last question. What's the last TV show you binge watched?
Ooh. Ugh, Your Friends and Neighbors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes,
Cool.
that
Cool.
was a good one.
Yeah. That's
Somewhere
awesome.
that one and also Four Seasons. That was good,
Did you
so.
watch Widow's Bay?
No, but somebody also just recommended that, so we
So
have that on the
good.
list.
So good. I mean, while we're on the Apple TV.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Widow's Bay. Look, Becca, this is incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a fun conversation.
It is. It has, right? Totally. I told you I was going to go like all over the place.
I love
I
it.
think I asked one question, so that might be a record. I asked one of my, pre-written questions.
Okay.
Anyway, I will again drop the links to the show notes so everybody can check out this moisturizer. It is phenomenal. And I'll
Thank
drop
you.
links to the website and to your LinkedIn so people can get in touch with you. I mean, I'm sure you've inspired someone about something on here and they'll want to reach out. Becca, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to the Skin Karma Pod. Find more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products on the Skin Karma blog at skinkarma.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Substack, please rate and review this episode. It helps me to reach more listeners. Ciao.